Stop visualizing what you want. Now this very second, stop. Most people spend their entire lives sketching success in their minds, writing affirmations before bed, pinning photos to dream boards, repeating mantras inside their cars in traffic jams, all while their nervous systems continue to vibrate in pure terror, scarcity, and self-distrust. And that is exactly why nothing changes. If you are watching this video, you have already tried. You have already read the books. You have already done the manifestation audios. You have repeated I deserve, I attract, I receive, until your mouth went dry. And yet, your bank account, your body, your routine, your relationship, and your phone remain exactly the same. You are not lazy. You are not a person of low vibration. You are not doing it wrong due to a lack of spiritual discipline. There is a specific biological error blocking the manifestation of your reality, and in the next few minutes I will reveal, based directly on the teachings of Dolores and the neuroscience of heart-brain quantum coherence, exactly what this error is, why it is happening today, July 27th, and how to reverse it before this day ends. The first point that needs to enter you like a surgical procedure is this. The human brain is not a receiver of reality. It is a generator. Cutting-edge science, studies from the HeartMath Institute, research from the Max Planck Institute, and the accounts collected by Dolores over more than 4 decades of deep regression all point to the same disturbing conclusion. The reality you call life is a projection. A projection constructed, millisecond by millisecond, by the electromagnetic field that your heart emits, shaped by the instructions your brain processes, filtered by the chemistry of the emotions that are dominating your body. Dolores said, in the material she called Sessions with the Higher Subconscious, that we are creators who have forgotten ourselves. Not creators in a metaphorical sense, creators in a literal biological sense. Your thought generates a measurable electrical current. This electrical current interacts with the electromagnetic field of your heart, which is approximately 100 times stronger than the brain's field. And this interaction creates an energetic signature that is read, reflected, and returned by the quantum field around you in the form of what you call coincidence, opportunity, luck, or bad luck. You do not receive the life you want. You receive the life your biology is transmitting. And here is where the problem begins, because most people transmit one thing with their mouths and something completely opposite with their bodies. The mouth says, I am ready to receive. The jaw says, I don't believe it. The mouth says, I trust the process. The gut locks up in anxiety every morning. The mouth says, I am abundance. The chest tightens when looking at the bank statement. And it is this contradiction, this dissonance between what you declare and what your body is signaling, that stalls manifestation. Dolores was extremely clear in stating that the universe does not interpret languages. It does not speak Portuguese, it does not speak English, it does not decode verbal affirmations. The universe responds to a single thing, the internal frequency of the emotional state in which you are living right now, in this instant that you breathe. And it is exactly here that the second pillar of this hidden engineering comes in, the internal frequency that attracts experiences. If the quantum field responds to the state, and not the word, then the only thing that matters to start changing your life is the energetic signature your body is emitting at this very moment. Each person emits a vibration determined by the combination of 3 elements operating simultaneously: the thoughts passing through the conscious mind, the chemical emotions flooding the body through the endocrine system, and the subconscious identity programmed in your first 7 years of life. If these 3 elements are aligned with the frequency of fear, the field returns fear. If they are aligned with the frequency of scarcity, the field returns scarcity. If they are aligned with the frequency of real abundance, embodied, felt as already being true, the field returns abundance. Note well, I did not say wanting abundance, I said being abundance. There is an abyssal difference between desiring something and being the person who already possesses something. Desiring keeps the object outside of you. Being dissolves the distance between you and the object. As long as you wake up every day thinking, I want money, your body transmits the frequency of the lack of that money, and the field, obediently, delivers more lack. As long as you repeat, I want a love, your nervous system transmits loneliness, and the field delivers more loneliness. Manifestation does not begin when you ask. Manifestation begins when you stop asking, because internally you already know, feel, and live as if the request was answered long ago. Dolores Cannon reported case after case of people who, under deep hypnosis, accessed parallel realities where their desires were already accomplished facts, and these same people, upon waking, saw these facts materialize in physical reality within weeks. The mechanism is always the same, raising the internal frequency to the point where the body believes, without asking permission from the rational mind, that the desired is already present. And it is precisely here that 97% of people stop. Because raising the internal frequency is not an intellectual technique, it is a reconfiguration of biology. And the biology of your current identity was built over 20, 30, 40 years of emotional repetition. You are not going to undo this with an afternoon of visualization. That is why I prepared the Prosperity Magnet for you. It is not a course, it is not an ebook. It is a 28-day journey designed to deactivate the identity of scarcity imprinted on your nervous system and, in its place, imprint the frequency of real abundance, spiritual, emotional, and financial. 28 days, because that is the minimum time neuroscience points to for the formation of new, stable neural pathways. 28 days, because that is what your body needs to dismantle the chemical addiction it has to cortisol, to anxiety, to distrust, and begin to operate at a new baseline of coherence. If you feel, deep down, that you have spent your entire life transmitting the wrong signal, the link for the Prosperity Magnet is in the first pinned comment right below this video. Do not leave it for tomorrow, because tomorrow is made of the frequency you are emitting today. And if you have understood now that your reality responds to your state and not your words, comment down below with the phrase, "I am already what I want to attract." Write the phrase. Feel the phrase. Let the phrase record a new instruction in your nervous system. Now we enter the third pillar of this architecture, the real secret of intention and manifestation. There is a trap in this subject, a very silent trap that consumes years of the lives of intelligent people. It is this: people confuse intention with desire. Desire is a pull, a force that points outward, toward something that is not yet here, and which implicitly carries the message of lack. Intention is the opposite. Intention is the silent, engineered, coherent decision that something is already on its way, is already yours by right, and that the only thing remaining is for the linear time of the universe to catch up to what your consciousness has already anchored. Dolores Cannon said that the subconscious, what she also called the higher self, does not respond to pleas. It responds to commands, and the command only has strength when it is born from within a person who is not divided between two realities at the same time. Most people emit cracked commands. They say, "I will prosper," while an internal voice whispers, "But you never succeeded before." They say, "I will find my love," while the body screams, "You are not worthy." They say, "I will heal my body," while the mind anticipates the worst diagnosis. This divided command is the energetic equivalent of you sending two letters at the same time, one asking for marriage and the other for divorce. The universe obediently delivers neither. It delivers the state of confusion you are transmitting. Think for a second about how this materializes on an ordinary morning. A person wakes up, puts on a manifestation audio with 2 million views, takes a deep breath, feels a slight morning euphoria, writes in a notebook, "Today I am prosperous, I am deserving, I am receptive." 5 minutes later, she opens her email and sees the credit card bill. Her chest locks up, the sympathetic nervous system fires, cortisol rises, the frequency of fear installs itself like a toxic cloud throughout her entire body, and she will spend the next 10 hours of the day, 10 hours, vibrating in that state. Then at night she repeats 3 minutes of affirmations before bed and wonders why life doesn't improve. It doesn't improve because her biology transmitted for 10 hours straight the command, "I am vulnerable, I am vulnerable, I am vulnerable," while the conscious mind transmitted for a total of 6 minutes the opposite command. The field listens to the majority, always. For manifestation to occur, The conscious and subconscious minds need to operate in the same direction during most of the day. And this is not philosophy, this is applied neurophysiology. When the prefrontal cortex, which is the seat of conscious will, enters into synchrony with the limbic system, which is the seat of subconscious emotion, the brain enters a state called global coherence. In this state, brain waves organize, the heart follows, the body's electromagnetic field stabilizes, and it is in this state, exclusively in this state, that the energetic signature emitted by you stops being contradictory noise and becomes a clean, focused, magnetic signal. It is like the difference between a poorly tuned radio, full of static, and a station transmitting at high frequency with crystal clarity. The universe only receives the crystalline signal. The noise is ignored. And if your life is stagnant, it is because you have been transmitting pure noise for decades. But there is a layer beneath that, a deeper, older, more stubborn layer. And it is the reason why most people will never manage to manifest anything substantial using only conscious techniques. I am talking about the limiting beliefs of the subconscious. What Dolores Cannon called in the deepest sessions, programmatic contracts. They are instructions that were recorded in your subconscious mind before you were 7 years old, and they stayed there, functioning like an invisible operating system, silently defining what you think is possible, what you think is deserved, and what you think is impossible for you. If at 5 years old you heard that money is the root of all evil, that phrase became code. If at 4 years old you saw your parents fight over bills, that scenario became identity. If at 6 years old you were humiliated for asking for something, that feeling became a reflex. You grew up, became an adult, read personal development books, took herbal baths, did therapy, attended retreats, but that code was never rewritten. It remains there, running in the background, sabotaging every conscious attempt at expansion. When you try to make more money, the code kicks in and creates financial self-sabotage. When you try to truly relate to someone, the code creates distance. When you try to take care of your body, the code creates quitting. This is why positive affirmation alone does not work. This is why a vision board alone does not work. You cannot reprogram an operating system by painting over the screen. You need to enter the source code. And the source code is only accessible in specific brainwave states, deep alpha, theta, and occasionally delta, states that the ordinary mind, in the fast-paced rhythm of daily life, practically never reaches without a guided tool. In beta, which is the state of accelerated wakefulness where you spend most of your week, the brain is too busy processing external stimuli, deadlines, notifications, and anticipatory anxiety for any new instruction to penetrate to the layer where beliefs reside. It is like trying to write on a wall covered by a steel curtain. The curtain needs to come down. It comes down when brainwaves slow down. Theta, especially, is the state of deep hypnosis, of trance, of the 6-year-old child learning the world, of the moment immediately before sleep. That is why the suggestions given by Dolores Cannon in her QHHT sessions had permanent effects. She led the client into theta before any reprogramming. Outside of this state, the instruction slips away. Inside this state, it imprints. And that is exactly why the prosperity magnet exists. It was engineered to take your brain day after day, for 28 consecutive days, to the neurological state where the old code becomes rewritable. It is not motivation. It is a bypass. If you recognize this pattern in yourself, the link is in the first pinned comment. Decide now, before the next block of automatic beliefs dominates you again. Continuing with the engineering of creation, we reach the pillar that separates those who dream from those who manifest, the integration of visualization, emotion, and connection with the field. Visualization alone is impotent. If you close your eyes and imagine the life you want, but your body remains in the emotional state of the life you have today, the visualization is merely fantasy, a mental theater without biological consequence. For visualization to transform into an instruction for the field, it must be accompanied by the emotion corresponding to the imagined reality. And here is the detail that Dolores Cannon repeated to exhaustion in her final sessions. It is not enough to imagine the new car. You need to feel the gratitude of already driving it. It is not enough to imagine the balance in the account. You need to feel the security of already having it. It is not enough to imagine the ideal partner. You need to feel the completeness of already being by their side, because emotion is the electromagnetic fuel of thought. Without emotion, thought is a weak wave that dissipates before leaving your body. With emotion, thought transforms into a dense, charged pulse, capable of imprinting a mark on the fabric of the quantum field, and the body does not distinguish between a reality imagined with intense emotion and a reality actually lived. That is why when you remember an old trauma, your heart races as if it were happening now. That is why when you imagine an embarrassing situation, you feel real shame, with real blushing and real sweating. The nervous system treats imagination charged with emotion as fact. And if you can train your imagination to carry the emotion of the reality you want, your nervous system will begin to operate as if that reality were already present, and the field, which only mirrors the state of your nervous system, will begin to organize external events to correspond to that internal state. This is the mechanics. There is no mysticism here. There is electromagnetic field physics. There is the biology of perception. There is the neuroscience of coherence. You imagine, you feel, the body transmits, the field responds. And if you learn to do this every day, with discipline, with intensity, with ritual, you will no longer need to try to control external reality. External reality will begin to rearrange itself around you. And there is a moment in the energetic calendar that exponentially amplifies this process. That moment is now, today, this Monday, July 27th. It is no coincidence that you have reached this video today. Specific dates function within the quantum mechanics of collective consciousness, like windows, points where the field is more receptive, more malleable, faster in responding to clear intentions. Not because there is magic in the number itself, but because there is something more subtle and more powerful, the effect of synchronized attention. When thousands of people around the world focus their minds and hearts on the same theme on the same day, collective consciousness forms an amplified field. Dolores reported, especially in the final volumes of her work, that there are temporal bifurcation points, moments when the conscious observer can jump from one timeline to another with much less effort than on ordinary days. Today is one of those points, and what you do internally today, the state you choose to embody today, the decision you make today about who you are from now on, has a disproportionate weight compared to any other day this month. It is like a lever. The same physical effort, applied in the right place with the correct angle, moves a stone 10 times larger. This is the dynamic of this date. There is yet another factor, more silent, that Dolores pointed out as the reason why certain dates transform into real portals: the accumulation of intention. When you reach the end of July, the field has already been worked on for weeks by millions of minds that anticipated the moment, that researched it, that felt the expectation. This density of collective attention functions like fertile soil. A seed planted in fertile soil sprouts much faster than an identical seed planted in dry earth. Your intention today falls on fertile soil. This does not mean it will sprout on its own. You still need to plant. You still need to water. You still need to sustain the emotional state corresponding to what you sowed in the coming days. But the response rate is geometrically higher than on an ordinary Tuesday in October. But there is a problem. You can rationally understand all this and still not be able to use the window. Because knowing is not the same as being. You can understand that today is a portal and yet remain within the same frequency of anxiety, doubt, and self-sabotage that has accompanied you for the last 10 years. And then the window closes, silently, without warning. And you go back to waking up in the same life, in the same body, with the same bank account, on the 28th. For this not to happen, you need a structure, not a motivational phrase, a biological structure that forces your body to operate in a new state for 28 days straight, the minimum time for the brain to consolidate new neural pathways and the heart to stabilize in a new coherence. The prosperity magnet is exactly that structure. It was made for those who have reached this point in this video, understood the mechanics, and know internally that they will not change anything alone with willpower. The link is in the first pinned comment now. If you decide tomorrow the price might be different, and the window of July 27th will have already closed. The responsibility is yours. The field is already ready to respond. The only question is whether your body will continue transmitting scarcity or if you will imprint today a new state. And this is where we reach the final understanding. What Dolores Cannon said was the secret behind all secrets. True transformation does not come from changing your life. It comes from changing your interpretation of yourself within it. As long as you believe you need to change external circumstances to be happy, you are a slave to the world. And the world obediently continues providing circumstances that reinforce your servitude. When you invert this, when you decide from the center of your chest that you are the source, that you are the generator, that you are the observer who collapses reality, the logic reverses. The world begins to respond to you, not because there was magic, because the energetic signature of the observer changed and the field mirrored the change. You do not need to wait for the bank account to grow to feel prosperous. It is the opposite. You need to feel prosperous first, viscerally, biologically, at the cellular level, and the bank account will obey. You do not need to wait for love to arrive to feel loved. You need to inhabit the frequency of already being love. And love will find paths that the rational mind could never calculate. You do not need to wait for the body to heal to trust the body. You need to trust the body now in the midst of pain, and healing will emerge as a consequence of that trust. This is the inversion that Dolores Cannon called the awakening. It is not seeing light. It is not hearing voices. It is realizing once and for all that reality was not out there waiting for you. It was inside you all along, waiting for you to decide. And today, July 27th, is the day of that decision. You can close this video, go back to your phone, to your routine, to the same thoughts you had yesterday, the day before, last year. And tomorrow morning your body will wake up and repeat the same emotional past it has repeated for a decade. Biology is obedient. It executes what was imprinted on it. Or you can do differently. You can take authorship. You can enter the first pinned comment, open the prosperity magnet, start today, and allow the next month of your life to be the first month in which the internal signature begins to truly change. No one is going to do this for you. No guru, no saint, no distant universe. Biology is waiting for your instruction. And if you have reached this paragraph, it is because a part of you already knows. If you understood that it is not reality that needs to change, but the frequency of the one who observes reality, comment down below, now, with the phrase, "I am already what I want to attract." Write it. Feel it. Let the phrase enter your body as a new instruction. And then open the first pinned comment. Decide, because July 27th will not return, and your body, if you do not intervene, will go back to sleep. The choice is now.